Lewis Hamilton was tagged by Kevin Magnussen during the first lap of the Spanish Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton's early radio message in which he asked his race engineer if he could retire from the Spanish Grand Prix was an alarming indicator of his current lack of morale at Mercedes, according to Martin Brundle. Hamilton's slim hopes of a podium finish at the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya were dashed when he tangled with Kevin Magnussen on the opening lap of the race before he was forced to pit for a set of new tires after suffering a puncture. The 37-year-old went on to recover incredibly well to eventually cross the finish line in fifth place, but had initially asked his team if he could retire his car in order to preserve the power unit ahead of this weekend's Monaco Grand Prix. Brundle has since insisted that Hamilton's willingness to give up after just one lap painted a grim picture of his current predicament at Mercedes, who have been well adrift of the likes of Ferrari and Red Bull for the entirety of the season to date. Lewis' contact with Kevin Magnussen on the opening lap surely cost him a chance of a spectacular result, wrote Brundle in his post-race column for Sky Sports F1. He was 50 seconds behind the leader on lap 2 and 54 seconds at the end despite backing off by 4 seconds on the final tour. Lewis' radio call-in after falling to the back of the field with a puncture, basically wanting to stop and save the power unit mileage, was alarming in that it gave us the true picture of how little he's been enjoying this season. Presumably 65 laps later he was somewhat more satisfied after showing great pace. The fans know their stuff as usual in voting him driver of the day. It remains to be seen whether Mercedes will be able to maintain their newly found pace when the on-track action resumes around the streets of Monaco later this week. The Silver Arrows were comfortably third quickest in Barcelona after introducing a number of important upgrades and will be hoping to keep the pressure on Ferrari and Red Bull at F1's most prestigious event over the course of this weekend. Hamilton will also be desperate to finish ahead of George Russell in order to avoid slipping behind the 24-year-old as the lead driver at Mercedes in the not-too-distant future. Russell has beaten his teammate at every Grand Prix so far this season with the exception of Bahrain and remains the only driver to have secured top 5 finishes at each race weekend since the beginning of the new campaign. I am